Hey guys, it's Generalkidd here, and today we've got a pretty hefty video for you guys. We are revisiting the DaVinci Code Easter Eggs one more time, and this time we are going to pretty much explain everything there is to explain about it. So as a refresher, the DaVinci Code Easter Eggs can be found on two maps in Halo 3, Sandtrap and Sandbox. Now, using my ability to mods now, I modded the map so that there's no barriers, which is why I'm able to easily fly out. Normally you can't fly out like this, unless you're in theater mode with another glitch. But basically, at every tower on the map Sandtrap, at the top of it, there is, top right of every tower, there's a little ball here with a bunch of, it's called like a UV texture, UV mapping texture, I think it's the official term. It's basically a texture in Halo 3 applied to objects that don't have textures or have like invalid textures. So in this case, it's a little blob here, and people called it the DaVinci Code Easter Egg because, well, it looks like an egg, and it looks like it's got like covered in DaVinci Code from the movie DaVinci Code. Before people jump on me for that, because they misinterpreted it wildly in one of my previous videos about that texture. But anyway, so a long time ago, back in like early 2008 or late 2007, I remember when that video was made. But back then, people used to think that when you drive into the outer parts of Sandtrap, the mines start coming up, right? Well, people thought that that's because there's like a minefield there, and you're stepping on the mines, and that's why they're jumping out. Well, as we proved, or at least tried to prove back in 2008. That is not the case. You're not tripping the mines by stepping out there. What is happening is when you step out there, and this is what we try to prove in the video, as you're seeing now, these little, I'll just call them Easter eggs. These Easter eggs, they are the actual guardians. So back in 2008, we had a theory, and we had a little bit of proof too, that these eggs shoot out Sentinel beams at you into the minefield. And it is those beams that trigger the mines around you. As in, we assumed that there actually was a minefield, but that they were actually triggered by those beams when they're fired into the ground. So, up until quite recently, I always assumed that that was it, mystery solved. But that wasn't the entire story to it. The minefield, the truth about that is the minefield actually does not exist. And I will get to that in a second. But basically, let me just refresh what we showed in that old video. In that old video, we captured like a very faint sentinel beam, kind of tracing it back to the Easter egg up here. And as you can see, we are now up close to it, watching it as it shoots the beams. And I paused it just in time so you can see it, because it's only like there for like a split second. But as you can see, the beams are shooting onto the minefield here. Oh, and the reason why this other player here is not dying to the mines is because I'm doing the anti-explosion glitch. The anti-explosion glitch being the one where you put a bunch of grenades down around you, and it nullifies all explosions. It even works on the mines as well. But the truth is, see, as you can see, the beam shoots down, and it looks like the beams are triggering the mines in the minefield. But the truth is, there actually is no minefield out there. And I will explain that in just a second. But, as you can see, the eggs, they rotate a little bit. It's hard to see them rotate, but they do rotate a little bit, and it just keeps shooting the beams at you to seemingly trigger the mines around you. The beams themselves are harmless. It's the mines that actually get you, as you know. So, as you can see, it just keeps shooting out in the distance, and then the mines keep coming up. Now, as I was saying, there is no minefield because, well, best way to explain this is to show to you. So, I modded a weapon in Forge. As you can see, I'm spawning the Easter egg itself. I kind of converted the Sentinel beam into the Easter egg weapon. You can't actually wield the Easter egg itself, because what's interesting is that the Easter egg in the Halo 3 game files and the tags, it actually counts as a vehicle. You can't drive it, of course. I guess it's like some kind of turret that you can't use. But as you can see, I swapped the projectile, the Sentinel beam, for the projectile that the Easter eggs shoot out. Now, to be absolutely correct, the Easter eggs are actually called Shrine Defenders in the game files of Halo 3. That is the official name of the Guardians, the Shrine Defender. And the beams they shoot out are called Shrine Defender Mine Layer, I believe. And as you can see, when I shoot the same beams out, no matter where I shoot them, mines will come out of the ground, even if it's in the middle of the map where there actually isn't supposed to be a minefield. So, yeah. And as you can see, the range is unlimited too. Wherever it shoots, mines will come out of the ground, which means there actually is no minefield per se. Well, I guess you could say the entire map is the minefield, but really the beam spawns a mine wherever it hits, and it only can spawn it on solid objects that are part of the scenery. So let me show you in the map now, a little bit up close. So let's pick up another Shrine Defender gun, I guess if you want to call it, or Guardian gun. That's a cooler name. Now, as you can see, if you shoot it onto the ground, mines come out, and because it's a Sentinel beam, I can shoot them out rapidly. But here, see, even if I shoot them on the building itself, it still shoots out. And just like in our very first video about this, the beams can go through any vehicle because they're not part of the scenery. Anything that's not scenery, the beams will go through. And once they do finally hit scenery, if they hit scenery, they will trigger mines. Even if it's along the side of a wall, mines will still come out. And of course, doing that, you can, just for fun, you can flip the elephant here, which happened to be like the very first video I made about flipping the elephant way back in like October of 2007, I think. Which we're actually getting close to the 10-year anniversary. Just a few more months to go. But so yes, like I said, anywhere you shoot them, mines will come out, and it's basically one of two things: either the entire map is the minefield, or when you shoot the beam, the mines spawn wherever the beam hits. Now, another thing that you may be wondering is, what about when you overload the map? For those of you who don't remember, overloading the map is where you throw down a bunch of trip mines, and that disables the Guardians, because it despawns a lot of things on a map, like vehicles, or on snowbound, it'll despawn the turrets. So what happens when you overload the map on Sandtrap? What actually happens to the Guardians? And people used to think that it made the minefield disappear, the mine layer, I guess. And as you can see, the Easter egg does actually disappear when you overload the map. But, as I said earlier, my theory was, there are two possible theories, is that either the whole map is a minefield, and that the Easter egg beam actually is just triggering the minefield that's covering the entire map, or mines spawn as projectiles wherever the beam hits. So, which is it? Well, I will get to that in just a second. As you can see, I just want to remind you what overloading does. Once you drop in the minefield, no mines, because the Easter eggs aren't there to shoot the beams, right? Well, not entirely. That is part of the reason. They aren't there to shoot the beams, but as you can see, let me spawn my own weapon again. I'm going to shoot into the minefield. Like I said, it doesn't matter where I shoot it, but let me shoot into the minefield. And see, mines are still going off. So let's switch to the other view. See, mines are still coming out. That means that the minefield was not, deloaded. It is still there. Well, I mean, it's not a minefield. Like I said, it's literally just it's a projectile that's shot out and spawns out of the ground. Seemingly spawns out of the ground. The Easter eggs do respawn eventually, but just like the turrets on Snowbound, once they are overloaded and they come back, they don't shoot you anymore. I guess whatever AI controlled them is permanently disabled until a new round is started. So that's why it doesn't shoot any more beams into the minefield. So that's why you don't encounter any more of those mines once the map's been overloaded. But technically, the mines can still be triggered if you have like a modded weapon that shoots the same beams out, because that's part of the projectile. It's the same as any like bullet you will fire out of like a battle rifle or something. Now, what about Sandtrap? I mean, not Sandtrap, Sandbox. Well, I'll show you, but let me spawn a couple weapons first. A battle rifle. I will explain what that is for in a little bit. And of course, we'll spawn our Easter egg weapon again, our Shrine Defender. In fact, the Guardians on Sandbox is actually still called the Shrine Defender. Now let's get set up. Now I apologize if the video is a little glitchy at this point. My capture card is having problems. Unfortunately, there's no game DVR on 360, so yeah. But as you can see, the weapon is overall still the same, except the beams are different on Sandbox. It fires, something like, it's kind of closer to like a Gauss cannon, but it's still a unique beam. Now, as for the battle rifle that I pulled out earlier, I'll show you what it is. If you don't remember, when you kind of walk out into the edge of Sandbox, your screen will start flashing. It's warning you that if you keep staying out there, you'll get shot at by the beams. The beams, of course, also originate from the Easter eggs at the towers. Now, let me shoot my battle rifle. My battle rifle is equipped with those beams. It doesn't look like anything's happening, but let's switch to the other perspective. And there you have it. That flashing effect on your screen when you walk out, it is also a projectile that's shot from the Easter eggs. Like I said, the Easter eggs are in a little bit different position, but overall they function the same, except this time they fire the warning beams out, and then a few seconds later they fire the main beam that shoots, that blows you up. And that main beam is definitely very powerful, and I will show you exactly how powerful it is up close. So using the overshield glitch that basically makes you almost invincible, except to assassinations. We're going to test it against the beams just for the heck of it. But as you can see, it still kills you even if you have the overshield glitch that makes you invincible. And the splash damage is huge, which is why I died so easily. But yeah, so that's basically exactly what the DaVinci Code Easter eggs are. They are called Shrine Defenders in the Halo 3 files, and they are the guardians of the map Sandtrap and Sandbox. They fire beams out, and on Sandtrap, the beams spawn mines. They don't trigger the minefield. There is no minefield on Sandtrap. And on Sandbox, they just fire beams directly at you to kill you. But they do fire a warning beam at you too, which causes a flashing effect on your screen. So there you have it. That is actually the truth behind these Easter eggs on both maps. And using the my modded 360, I was able to figure it out in a lot more detail and actually test the theories out. Because before this, I wasn't really able to fully test it out. So now we know, and I hope you guys did find this to be very interesting and informative. And if you did, make sure to leave a like, and if there's anything you want me to investigate going into the future, just let me know in the comments. I'll check it all out. And as always, make sure to subscribe, because we've got a lot of other cool things coming out soon. And with that, we will see you guys next time.